Alright, so I'm going to be going over the devlog that was uploaded a week ago, apparently. Kind of late, but oh well. The link to this video will be in the description. You probably already saw it, but this is just kind of be my thoughts regarding, everything that they mentioned. I've already seen the video, but, kind of go through it anyway. The intro music is cool.
Hi everyone, I'm Freya from the Mecharena community team, and you're watching the 13th devlog episode. There is a lot going on in Mecharena, and I can't wait to share the latest updates with you. Let's begin with a quick recap of what's been happening in-game recently. First off, we had a marvelous celebration of Mecharena's 3rd anniversary, and we're kinda
By that, they mean they introduced two completely unrelated mechs to anything that had anything to do with Halloween or anniversary, whatever. It's not different enough. Honestly, if you were to ask me, I would say that like a limited time game mode, something like that, maybe reskinning one of the maps. They did that a while ago. If you recall, the Mecharena map, so they reskinned it. They made it really dark and like cyberpunky. This went with the visual redesign of the mechs, I'm pretty sure. And then they rolled that back after a while. I don't really know why. And we just, we still have the old map. But, apart from that, they also did this same thing with, like, the Neymar. They had, like, that sponsorship, whatever thing, collaboration with Neymar Jr. And they reskinned the same map, the Mecharena map. They reskinned that to be, like, more of a soccer field type thing. And that was cool. I like that. I think they should do that more. I think you can't really call it a special event if it's literally just a new mech, a new weapon. It's the exact same as every other event. Come on now.
Thank you enough for staying with us, sharing feedback, and being such great members of our incredible community. Next, we've done an implant overhaul so you can experiment and find the best implant combinations to match your playstyle.
This was nice. I have one major issue with the way that they did this. You can filter the implants that you have when you're scrapping them or whatever. You can filter it by everything except for quantity, and quantity is the most important one. Freaking 3 cheetah mine radius implants, like, look at that. 4 gatecrasher beam length. I want to be able to press up. This is what the old system was. The old system, the only way that you could sort it was by quantity. And that was honestly just the most convenient one. You press a button, automatically all of the implants that you have multiple of show up at the top. That's mostly what you care about. I mean, in a lot of cases, a lot of people, including myself, keep one of basically every implant. And so the easiest way of going through it would just be sorting it by quantity. They need to add that. It's really irritating.
We've also slightly changed the way the Events tab looks in-game. That's now more dynamic and allows you to keep track of the content that's currently available via various activities and events.
Rather indifferent on that.
As for the recently released content, we've welcomed some new mechs to the family. Mimicker, a legendary scout with the adaptation ability, and Dustwalker, a legendary...
I don't know why it's always like... What's bro doing?
tank with the reanimated
Straighten him out a little bit, come on.
Mimicker scans enemies and gets a boost based on their role. And Dustwalker can reanimate itself after dying, while its ability is active.
And heals itself.
They both look like some
Definitely not
serious contenders on the battlefield, don't you think? Some of the new weapons we've added in the gear hub include Howler, a legendary close quarters weapon,
Disappointingly
and
terrible.
Dreadshot, a
Even
legendary
more disappointingly
heavy-duty
terrible.
weapon. Better be careful if your enemies are equipped with those. Lastly, we've
Better be
added a
careful if you're
legendary
equipped with those.
artillery pilot, Targe. Watch out him in the arena. Now that's what I call a recap. Let's move on to what you can expect to see in Mecharena soon. You probably won't be surprised to hear that we're working on some awesome new mechs.
Cool.
Number 1 on the list is a legendary support mech, codenamed Angel. Why Angel?
So this is the legendary healer that we've been asking for probably like 3 years now. I have to say it looks pretty fantastic. I love the disc head design. That's very unique. It almost looks like the thing on the shoulder is gonna like pop out when you use the ability, and that's cool. Always like a good ability animation. The mech itself, I mean, it's a very unique design. Honestly, I love it. I think way too many of their designs are super, super basic. Or they're just weird. I did not like the design of Outlaw at all. I think it was so strange. And, like, not strange in a creative way, but it was like they just took different mechs, slapped them together, and called it a day. It was wild. But this is genuinely unique, and I like it.
Well, its ability allows you to heal your allies and yourself. All you have to do is select a target ally and launch a projectile that'll instantly restore a portion of their HP. Pretty sweet, huh?
So, fire a projectile. Ally targeting, for one thing, was not something I expected. I had been saying for a while, and I still kind of think this to be fair, the ability to target allies as just a general mechanic, it'd be so much harder to target enemies, it'd be so much harder to find the target that you're looking for. There's already so much on the screen, especially in regard to like mods and pilots. It completely blocks your view sometimes. But then like if you're also able to target allies on top of that, it's gonna be a bit weird. Though I imagine it's just the ability, like your weapons will still target the enemy and your ability will target the ally. Similar to like how other lock-on abilities work. It says fire a projectile, it doesn't say if it's homing, but I'm gonna assume that it's homing because that's what they like to do. They like to keep it very, very simple. But in addition to that, they say it'll heal the ally as well as yourself. I assume that both happens in the same ability, like as soon as you use the ability on the ally, then it also heals yourself. Or maybe. Imagine they make like the least support healer possible and they make it so it's like if you're not targeting an ally, then using the ability only heals yourself. If you're targeting an ally, then using the ability only heals the ally. Nobody's going to use it on the allies, they just use it on themselves all the time because they're selfish. Especially the bots. The bots would use it on themselves constantly. That would be hilarious, but so on brand. Either way, cool looking mech, and I'm really glad that we have another healer. A ranged healer, no less. I have no idea what the range is, but it has range, which is something MD never had, which is part of its downside too. So this could be pretty crazy.
Next mech on the list is codenamed Swarm, and it's a legendary attacker. Swarm launches several missiles towards the enemy, creating an AoE damage zone in front of it. It's going to be deadly.
So it kind of sounds like a Scorpius that can choose an area on the ground. I don't know. It's almost like a direct fire, like artillery mech ability, which is what mortars should have been. Mortars have to lock onto a target and then they fire at the target, even though I think the artillery weapon class description says that it targets an area on the ground and not the target, but that's completely untrue. At least for regular rocket mortar. Fuse mortar, I'm not so sure, but for regular rocket mortar, they will actually curve to hit the enemy if the enemy moves from the original spot. So they will curve slightly, not a ton, but they will curve slightly. But that's kind of interesting. Depending on the range and depending on the damage, depending on everything, how it works, it could be really freaking annoying, but it sounds and looks kind of cool.
Powerful. So we can't wait. That's all I can share about these mechs for now. Let's see what else you'll find in-game soon. Weapons. Right, we've got 3 new weapons in the works. The first one will be a legendary guided weapon, codenamed Rocketeer. It has a decent reload speed and will work best for mid-range battles. The number of
So, decent reload works best for mid-range? I wonder if this is the legendary Helix. It doesn't look like it. What it looks like is kind of like a missile rack that has homing. And that would be cool, because that's kind of what Savant was, but I wanted Savant to be more of a missile rack with homing. And so maybe that is what this is going to be, but I don't know. There is no legendary Helix equivalent. There's no legendary weapon that is like super similar to the way Javelin and Helix rack work. And I'm just waiting for it to happen because it will happen. There's basically no way that it doesn't.
Projectiles it can launch depends on its energy capacity, letting you shoot up to 15 per magazine for the highest energy capacity variant. And that's not
unsurprising.
all
That's the way most missile weapons
also
work.
have another weapon in the works. We can share too much, but we can show you how it's going to look.
Looks like our friggin' laser beam. What is that on the side? What's that on the side? I don't know.
Let us know your thoughts in the comments. The last one is a legendary missile weapon, and it's codenamed Power Rocket.
So first off, this is a plasma cannon, and you cannot convince me otherwise. Legendary RPG sounds fantastic. I really like the feel of RPGs. Second off, I knew that they were going to add a legendary missile weapon soon, because with the addition of Stormwreck for free-to-play, there was 0 payload items in the missile category, and they're not going to be able to allow that. Thirdly, they might make this thing kind of OP. I have no idea. I mean, the other two RPG weapons were pretty bad. Like, Voltaic RPG was sad at best. Like, it was kind of fun before the Great Update, but it's not good, and it never really was. So maybe this will be another bad weapon. I'm expecting one of these 3 weapons to be kind of meta, though. Because usually that's how it works. It's a roll of the dice as to whether each weapon's actually good. But I'd say roughly like 1 in 5 is somewhat OP. And the last 2 weapons that they just showed, Howler and Dreadshot, those are crap. You know, at least 1 or 2 of these of these new ones that they're mentioning will probably also be crap. There's also Tetra Rifle and Hellfire that they didn't mention. Hellfire also being crap, Tetra Rifle being pretty decent. I actually really like it, but it's not really meta worthy. So yeah, I expect one of these to be OP. I know everybody's been asking, I'm just gonna say it now, everybody's been asking like, when are they gonna nerf Stormwreck? Are they gonna nerf Stormwreck now that it's free to play? Can you please tell them to not nerf Stormwreck? They don't have any plans to nerf Stormwreck as far as I'm aware. At least that's what I was told. Now if they do nerf it, and then they make this thing even more OP, then you're screwed. And I will never argue with anyone who ever says anything about the nerf buff cycle. Historically that doesn't happen. Like, they don't really nerf and buff things like that. So it's not like they have a long history of nerfs and buffs. It's possible. I'm not going to say it's impossible. It's definitely possible, but it's not like they have a long history of doing that. So we'll just see what happens, is kind of what I'm saying.
Imagine your trusty RPGs, but way cooler. That's all we can say for now, but test out your intuition and let us know your predictions in the comments.
Looks kind of cool. I want to go back to, like, this has got to be a beam weapon, right? Like, there's no way it's not a beam weapon. I love my beam weapons, but unfortunately, all of them are garbage. Every single one of them is absolutely garbage. I kind of wonder what this is going to be, though, because all of the beam weapons have, like, a very specific perk to them. And usually, I would say that the beam weapons are the more interesting weapons, typically, in terms of weapon mechanics. I would say beam weapons are some of the most interesting ones. They're not usually good, but they're usually interesting, so I'm very, very curious as to what's going on with that.
And let us know your predictions in the comments. We'll also be adding more maps
Let us
for
know
the
your predictions.
free-for-all
That's a bad
mode,
line.
so you'll be able to prove your skills in some awesome locations. You might recognize some of the spots from maps already in the game, but you'll have to wait to discover which ones.
2 new...
I can't take
Oh,
the
3?
suspense.
3 new
Last but
free-for-all
not
maps.
least, We'll be
That's
launching
wild.
a brand new Onslaught campaign featuring Gatecrasher.
Ooh,
This
nice.
time we're adding a little twist to the mechanics of this game mod. We'll give you more info on that a bit later.
Twist on the mechanics. It's probably gonna be kind of lame. Similar to the way that they added like the heal zones or whatever. I think they added it to the Scorpius one, but it was originally featured in the Killshot one, I'm pretty sure. But either way, yeah, the heal zones were kind of not super interesting, and the new mechanics that they add to this one may or may not be interesting. They say it's a new mechanic to the game mode, not necessarily that they're changing anything else. What people really want is for it to not cost 8,000 A-coins for you to get the 1,000 A-coins that's at the very end. Like, nobody really cares, and the Onslaught usually features a pretty bad mech anyway, so like upgrading it, maxing it out, doing whatever is not super useful most of the time. So it's essentially a waste. But we'll see. I do like Gatecrasher. I think Gatecrasher is really cool. But I also don't like any of Gatecrasher's legendary skins. So if they just recolor one of his 2 legendary skins, that would just be sad. And I don't know what I would do at that point.
Phew,
Crime
now
movie.
you're up to speed. We do hope you love the upcoming content and updates.
The new maps was interesting though. I did not expect them to add 3 new free-for-all maps. I mean, in general, as far as devlogs go, it's not bad. I would say it's probably one of the better ones, at least, because, I mean, first off, more maps. That doesn't happen very often. Obviously, there's new mechs, new weapons, but that happens every time. But at least this time, one of the mechs was one that, like, lots of people have wanted for a stupidly long time. So that's cool. The Onslaught may or may not be interesting, depending on what happens. And otherwise, yeah. I mean, I imagine they would have mentioned a weapon rebalance or a mech rebalance if they were planning on nerfing and buffing things anytime specifically soon. I imagine they would have mentioned it in here. Maybe not, maybe I'm wrong, but I think there's kind of not much reason to get too anxious about it. I think we're probably fine, at least for a while. I guess, depending on what that legendary missile weapon's all about. But yeah, by my estimations, the healer mech should come out around Christmas time. I think like the 20th of December, either the 13th or the 20th, based on just like, you know, general patterns in regard to like how many weeks between each mech. Now, of course, I assumed as much. Probably they'll try to release one of these pretty early. They'll have one of the events going on before Christmas, and then they'll probably try to make one go on pretty soon after Christmas, just because people are going to be spending a lot of money, and so they're going to try to capitalize on that, obviously. Anyway, yeah, as I mentioned, the link to this video is in the description if you want to just watch it yourself without my rambling. Otherwise, that will be it for me. Appreciate y'all. Take care.